I stand in the market with a basket of mangoes, and my vision blurs suddenly. The scent of this fruit causes my eyes to cloud. An ant, old, chats, and remnants of her long life's bitterness permeate her monologue. She was the one abandoned. But that's life. It's just random. Her daughter, my cousin, graying, remains pessimistic of her spent existence. A young niece, school-aged, the oldest daughter of an oldest daughter of an oldest daughter of herself, says she's a cynic. I see a legacy of bitterness, a trail of pain twisting downward through generations like the long black braid that hangs down this young girl's back. I know their story. A tale of migration through 3 mighty nations, a forced relocation that twists and burns patterns into my imagination. How close my own path twists, threads of my time following her time, so eerily patterned to find that pain. I stretch my arm, hoping to cut that trail short, untwist all the pain, but time does not stop as it catches my memory, her memory, their memory, our memory. Time does not stop as it catches my outstretched, unsuspecting arm and twists it behind my back. Unerringly, time gets the better of me. The memories rise without indication. I fight despair at a failed reconciliation. My eyes cloud again. My sister and I went to Japan, and I went not wanting a mere vacation. I wanted to meet anyone who could tell me about my grandfather, a man I had never met. Fragments of family shame, a history of broken promises, broken ties, and secret government lies had me looking for the remnants of a togetherness that was dispersed decades ago. Japan, North America, down to Peru, my path travels, reversing the same pattern too. I was hoping to find his children who had disappeared, but who had briefly resurfaced after his death. I thought that armed with my knowledge of history and human rights, I could reach out and explain away all the doubts that supported their bitter renunciation of him. I imagined telling them they had been missed, that their mother, my grandmother, had died calling for them. I look back and I pity my painful naivete as a simply sad gesture, though not a wasteful activity. With an elusive idea of mending a fence I had not broken, I met with gentlemen who might have known him. I wondered if with him they had shared internment. "Tell me," I asked, "did you know my grandfather in camp?" "Not at all," was the answer that caused me to say, "Do you know on what ship they'd have sailed him away?" "No," they all answered, "and now we must say, we suggest you enjoy your vacation. Go play. Why dig up old memories of people betrayed when things now are lovely, much better today?" "Shikata ga nai" is the phrase that we say. It's a phrase that will never lead you astray. Take pictures of temples and Buddhas in clay, but don't question war's motives or government's ways. My cousin told us he'd found our oldest aunt. She'd been hauled away to a camp, or rather, her father had been hauled away to a camp for crimes he'd never committed. I then said, "I do work with some families who submitted a lawsuit. Have you read it?" "Well, Grandpa's not in it because he died before this time limit, but once before, the U.S. has admitted a wrong it committed. And the fact that they hid it highlights more that they did it. They assumed that we couldn't say the government did it." My cousin shook his head and explained to us, If you want to go see her, well, here is her address. But I warn you right now that she's no goddess. You talk about lawsuits and getting redress, but see if she shows any signs of kindness. She believes that we owe her, though the families told her we all suffered pain due to government's orders. You still want to go see her? Well, I suggest that you meet her in places where kindly to dinner you will treat her. So with address in hand, we went south to the land where my aunt had been living. Tall grass, ocean, and sand. In Okinawa we stood, before our aunt and her children, our cousins. We stood in front of them, our blood shared from far back, and they told us simply, "Please, sit." We held out a basket of mangoes purchased hastily at a little store, did not know what to say. They looked on as we offered, and then angry she spat, "Foolish girls, bring me these when I grow them outside. What kind of a gift is that?" Embarrassment led to shame, and as my mind swirled, a vision took hold of me. I would reach out to her. I would tell her that I know why her life was this way, as if I, coddled by the comforts of peacetime and sheltered by the indignation of having read the history, could understand the lifetime of suffering, her misery. I would explain to her that it was an act over which her parents had no control, that she was not abandoned, that she was not left to fend for herself. But I had no language to tell her anything. No English, no Spanish, no Japanese sufficient enough to communicate. I could not begin to tell her that she was in her mother's thoughts until the end, that the pain of not being able to find the children is what killed her mother, my grandmother, in the end. My aunt saw only spoiled American kids who brought her gifts that she grew in her own backyard. My vision clears, and the cloying scent of failure envelops me, and I am left, still holding a basket of mangoes. Thank you.